Welcome back to my channel. So today I am back with another video, and this time I'm just giving you an update on the nails that I did 2 weeks ago. Today actually makes 2 weeks, and as you guys know, for this set I used the acrylic kit by Kids, which you can find at Walmart, and I basically just did a review on the kit, and a lot of people are asking me on to do an updated video on how the nails stayed up. So as you can see, here is what they look like. Again, it's been 2 weeks. She did get some lifting. This one was the one that lifted the most. She had to put a band-aid on there to keep it from lifting a lot. As you can see, this pinky lifted some, and this thumb as well. On this hand, maybe the pinky just a little bit, and the thumb a little bit as well. But you know that I told you guys a while back that since I didn't use a drill, sometimes it's a little bit harder to get around that cuticle area with just the hand file. So maybe if I would have used a drill the entire time, I wouldn't have had problems with lifting. But again, this is what they look like. Here is a closer look. So again, this one's the one that lifted quite a lot, but the rest, I mean, they still look decent. So today what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna be soaking off this set, and we're gonna be trying something new. I'm gonna be doing a gel set. So just keep watching and enjoy. Alrighty, so as always, whenever we do a soak off, I remove the bling first. So I'm just using a pair of nippers, and I'm just gonna go in and remove that bling. And we only did it on the middle finger, or sorry, on the ring finger and the index finger. And as always, I use the Mia Secret Gel Resin to apply the bling. So we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on both hands. And as you can see, they stayed on really good. She was really only missing one on this hand, and then the other hand did good as well. Next, we're gonna go in with a tip cutter, and we're gonna trim the nails all the way down. That way, whenever we actually start soaking, we don't just basically waste our acetone on soaking off unnecessary product. So again, just cut the nails all the way down. After that, I'm gonna go in with my drill. I'm using my Scarlet Melody Susie nail drill, and I'm using the Coils Drill Bit by Pana. So I'll be sure to leave the link in the description to those items. Alrighty, so now we're gonna go ahead and we're just basically thinning down the nail just a little bit, or the acrylic just a little bit, so that way whenever we start soaking the nail in acetone, it doesn't take too long. And then of course, if she had gel polish on, then we would be removing that gel polish as well. But for right now, I'm just thinning down the acrylic. That way it speeds up the process of the soaking. Alrighty, so now we have filed down the acrylic. So now after that, we're gonna be using the little soaking dishes, and I'm gonna be using pure acetone. Remember, you wanna make sure that you're using pure acetone or 100% acetone, which is the same thing, but don't use nail polish remover because it's not gonna soak off the acrylic. After we fill the little dish up, we're gonna go ahead and have her put her hand in. And then we're just gonna leave them in here for about 20 to 30 minutes until all of the acrylic is completely soaked off. And also make sure that their nails are completely in the acetone when they're soaking. And then if you need to add a little bit more, you can always just go in and squirt some more. And then after we finish soaking the nails, we're gonna do a new set, and I'm gonna be using the Mia Secret gel. So just keep watching and I'll be back. Alrighty y'all, so we've been soaking for about 30 minutes and all of the acrylic is completely soaked off. So after this, I'm just gonna use a paper towel to wipe off any of the remainder acrylic. And then after that, I can go ahead and dump out the acetone in the little dishes. And then after this, we can go ahead and start prepping for a new set. So of course, the first thing that we're gonna do is we're gonna go in with a cuticle pusher to push back those cuticles. I'm just using this cuticle pusher that I got on Amazon, and it came in a set with a cuticle pusher and a pair of nippers. So we're just pushing back the cuticles, and this is just going to expose the new growth as well as reduce lifting. After we're done pushing back the cuticles, I'm gonna go in with a nail clipper, and I'm just gonna be trimming down her nails. Alrighty, so after that, I'm gonna go in with my e-file, and I'm just gonna be removing the shine from the natural nail. As always, I'm using a 180 sanding band, and of course we have to replace this one after each client. So I'm gonna go ahead and put a new one on there. So again, this is a 180 sanding band, and we're gonna be removing the shine. So I do wanna keep it at a slow speed. And I'm using the Scarlett Melody Susie drill, and I'm using it at 10,000 RPMs. So as always, we're gonna go ahead, I'm actually gonna slow it down just a bit. So I slowed the drill down to like 5,500 RPMs because it was a little bit too fast at 10,000. And of course, we're just removing the shine from the natural nail. And then also I'm gonna use the drill bit to kind of just file down her nails or even them out after I clip them down. Also, make sure that when you're removing the shine that you get around that cuticle area really good, because you know that's where a lot of our lifting comes from. Alrighty, so I'm gonna be using my natural nail tips, and then of course for the glue, I'm gonna be using the KDS glue. So remember that when you're applying nail tips, you want the tip to fit from sidewall to sidewall. As you can see, this tip is too small because some of her natural nail is still out. So I'm gonna go up to the next size. This one kind of fits almost, but just a tiny bit of the nail is hanging off. So I'm gonna go to a number 8. And this one fits perfectly. Again, you want it to fit exactly from sidewall to sidewall. If not, your nail will eventually lift or crack. Then we're gonna apply the glue right on the tip, and then we're gonna place it right on the nail and hold it down for a few seconds. And then you can let it go. So remember that our nail tips come in a 0 to 10, 0 being your biggest nail tip and number 10 being the smallest nail tip. So again, make sure that the nail tip fits from sidewall to sidewall, and then apply the glue and just glue it down. Alrighty, so now for this other hand, we're doing the exact same thing, making sure that the nail tip fits from sidewall to sidewall, applying the glue right on the tip, and then placing the tip on the nail, holding it down, and that's it. But the most important thing when applying the nail tips is to make sure that the tips are the correct size, because if it's too small, the nail tip, it's basically being forced down onto the nail. So whenever you let it go, it's gonna wanna come back up and eventually it's gonna lift or crack. So you wanna make sure that, again, you're applying the right size tips. And then also, if it's too big, the nails will lift, because then it's gonna be hanging off the nail, and then water is gonna get underneath the nail and it's gonna cause the nail to lift. Alrighty, so I'm gonna be leaving them this length, and I'm gonna shape them into a coffin shape. So I'm just going in with the straight edge nail clipper, and then I'm just clipping down the sides. That way it's gonna save us a little bit of time when it actually comes to us filing the nails. So again, this is a straight edge nail clipper, and we're just trimming down these sides. Alrighty, so after we finish trimming down the sides, I'm gonna go in with my 100-100 nail file, and we're just gonna be shaping up the nails. As always, we're filing the sides at a 45-degree angle on both sides, making sure that we alternate from side to side, and then filing the free edge at exactly a 90-degree angle. And since these tips are a little bit longer, I do have to hold them, because if not, they will kind of blend, because they are pretty flimsy. And then of course, we're just blending the nail tip right in the middle. So same thing for the rest, and I'm not doing a really narrow coffin. It's more of a tapered shape. same thing on the other hand. Again, we're doing a 45-degree angle on the sides. And then a 90-degree angle at the free edge. Alrighty, so we finished shaping up both of the hands. So as you guys know, I don't usually do gel nails, but one thing that I do remember is that whenever I used to do them in school, they would tell us to remove the shine from the whole entire nail tip. That way the acrylic the gel would adhere to the nail tip better. So I'm gonna go ahead and just gently remove the shine. And if this is something that you guys know that you have to do, let me know down in the comments, because again, I don't know if this is something that you actually have to do, but in school this is what they used to tell us. But I know that everybody has their own way of doing things, so if you use gel, let us know if this is actually something that's necessary. So again, I'm just removing the shine from the entire nail tip. That way the gel adheres better to the nail tip. Alrighty, so I did that. So now I'm gonna go ahead and dust them off. And then before I start, I am gonna get some stuff out of the Mia Secret kit that I recently got, because I need the gel brush. So I'm gonna use this gel brush, which is the Mia Secret gel brush in number 8. I'm also gonna use the Mia Secret primer, as well as the nail prep. And then also I'm going to be using these little wipes and the gel cleanse. Alrighty, so again, I'm going to be using the Mia Secret primer, the gel cleanser, the nail prep, the nail wipes, and the Mia Secret gel brush in a number 8. And then also I have these 3 gels, which are the Formagels, as I mentioned in my review, or actually in my unboxing video. These are the 3 ones that I got, and they are $17 a piece. I got the clear gel, the candy pink, and the cover tan. And today I think I want to use more of a pinkish gel, so I'm going to be using this one. And y'all, the color is so, it's so pretty. That's what it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and get started. So of course we're gonna go ahead and apply the nail prep and the primer. And we're only gonna be applying this on the natural nail. Making sure that of course we do not get it on the skin. And the nail prep, this one just dehydrates the nails. So if there's any oils still left on the nail, this is gonna get rid of those oils and it's gonna dehydrate the nail. And the primer, this one is actually going to help the acrylic or gel, because it's for acrylic and gels. It will help the product adhere better to the nail. Alrighty, so before I get started, I put a little bit of the gel cleanser in a little dapping dish. That way I can clean my brush as I go if I need to. And then again, the brush that I'm using is the Mia Secret Gel Brush in a number 8. I'm gonna go ahead and dip it into the gel cleanser and wipe it off on my paper towel. And the way the gel works, you're gonna have to do a base first. There's some products I know like OPI, the Axiom kit, that comes with like the actual base, the gel, and the top coat, but this one, it just comes with just this one gel. So I'm gonna use the same gel to do a base. And the first coat, you wanna make sure that it's super thin, and you wanna do it over the entire nail, starting around the cuticle area and then brushing it all the way down towards the tip. But again, you want it to be really thin, almost like nail polish thin. And also making sure that you cap the sides, the sidewalls, and the free edge. So again, we just grab a bead. And since they're longer, of course, I need to grab more product. But again, we start around the cuticle area, making sure that we get as close to that cuticle area as we can. And then we're just brushing it down towards the tip. And one thing that I can say about this gel is that it feels pretty stiff. I know I've used other gels that are a little bit more liquidy, I could say, but that's just the first coat. And I know that I'm not using a lot of product because again, the first coat, you do want to make sure that it's thin. Alrighty, so we did the first coat. Again, it's really thin. And then after this, we're gonna go ahead and cure it for 90 seconds under the UV LED light. And we're gonna go ahead and do the same thing on the other hand. So again, we're doing a really thin layer, and this is just our base. And then the next coat that we do is gonna be thicker. Alrighty, so we finished applying the base on this hand as well. So now we're gonna go ahead and switch it out, and we're gonna cure that one for 90 seconds. Now your second coat is gonna be a lot thicker because this one we're actually building, of course, our apex and getting our thickness on the tip. So we're gonna do the same thing, start around the cuticle area, and this time we're gonna grab a lot more product. And this time, instead of doing like a polish application technique, we're gonna do more of a floating technique. So we're gonna apply that bead closer to the cuticle area. And as you can see, I'm doing like a floating technique. And what I'm doing right now is I'm just trying to spread the gel around the cuticle area first. And then as I go, I'm gonna just like go from side to side as I'm moving it down towards the tip. But first you wanna get it closer to the cuticle area. And then now we're just gonna do from side to side. And it's kind of, again, like a floating technique. I'm not pressing all the way down on the nail. I'm literally just like moving the gel as I go. Go from side to side. Because as always, you want this area right here to be thicker because that's where your apex is and that's where your nail gets its strength from. So just keep moving the gel down. And then gel is self-leveling, so once you apply it, it's gonna level out on its own. But basically you have to train it or like move it to wherever you want. So that's why, since I want it to go down towards the tip, I have to move it down towards the tip. Once I get closer to the tip, I can start doing a brushing technique, but being really gentle as well. Making sure that it's all the way on the side of the nail. And then I'm dipping my brush. Right now I dip my brush into the brush cleaner to clean my brush up because I want to clean around that cuticle area. Remember, same thing as the acrylic, you don't want the product on the skin because then you will get lifting. And as always, make sure that you cap your free edge and the sidewalls as well. So this is what it looks like from the side. So of course, we're gonna have to go back in and do another coat. That way we have a really nice apex. And since the gel does move, you wanna make sure that you do kind of like a nail at a time. So I'm gonna go ahead and let this one cure. And I'm gonna be switching back and forth between the hands. So I'm gonna go ahead and put that one under the light, and then we're gonna move on to this hand. And I'm just gonna be switching back and forth because if not, the gel is gonna start running all over the nail and over to the sides. So same thing, place the bead closer to the cuticle area. And then we're just moving it from side to side as we go down the tip. I'm gonna turn it over to the side so you can see how I'm doing it. Alrighty, so now we did this one. Here is a side view. And then again, we're gonna go ahead and cure that one for 90 seconds. And then we're gonna do the same thing on the next nail. So again, make sure that you grab a pretty nice size bead. Make sure that you also twirl your brush or turn your brush as you go. That way your gel is not just stringing all over the place. Place it closer to the cuticle area. And again, it's more of a floating technique, so I'm not even touching the nail tip or the natural nail when I'm doing this, because I'm literally on top of the gel. And just move it from side to side all the way till I get to the very tip of the nail, and then I can kind of just brush it down. Alrighty, so we just did this one, so we're gonna go ahead and put that one under the light as well. So again, it's really like a floating technique. I'm gonna give you a side view as well. Okay, so here's the nail that we've already done. So here's a side view of what it looks like, and this is how it looks like before we actually apply the gel. So again, we hold the nail, and then we grab our bead of gel. Make sure that again, you turn your brush. That way you're not stringing the gel all over the place. After that, we just place that bead closer. Put that finger down. That one, yeah. We place that bead closer to the cuticle area and spread it out as close as you can to that cuticle area. And then we're gonna start going from side to side, all the way to the very tip. Again, you want the back part, which is the cuticle area, to be thicker than the rest of the nail because that's where the nail gets its strength from. So you want to keep most of that product back there. And I need to get more product, so I'm going to go ahead and get another bead. I'm going to place it right where I stopped. And then I'm gonna keep going in a floating motion, making sure that we go from sidewall to sidewall. You don't want the product to just sit in the middle. You want it to go exactly from one side of the nail to the other side of the nail. And then at the tip, you can just brush it down if you need to, because sometimes you start running out of product once you get closer to the tip. And then again, make sure that you cap your free edge as well as the sides. And then as you can see right there, some of the gel is starting to run over to the side. So I'm just gonna dip my brush into the brush cleaner and I'm just gonna wipe that right off. We don't want to leave it like that because then if we do, it's going to be really hard to fall off, and if we can't get it off, then most likely we could get lifting. Okay. So that's what it looks like. Okay, so that's what it looks like from the side. So of course we are gonna have to come back in and do another bead closer to the apex area, which is right there, because as you can see, it's still pretty thin right there. So we're gonna go ahead and let that cure for 90 seconds, and then we're gonna move on to the other hand as well. Alrighty, so we're gonna do the same technique. As you can see, it's the same thing over and over again. So we just grab our bead, place it closer to the cuticle area. And you can see from this side view how I'm just like going literally from side to side. So that's really the main difference, or one of the main reasons between doing acrylic and gel. Instead of doing a brushing motion, you do more of a floating motion with the gel. Alright, so there is how that one looks like. So now we're gonna go ahead and place that one under the light as well. And I'm gonna... Alrighty, so we're gonna keep doing the same process over and over again, and then I'll be back before I do the second coat. Alrighty, so far we've done the first coat and this is what they look like. So as you can see, the apex area is still pretty thin, so we need to go back in and just do another coat, but instead of bringing it all the way down towards the tip, we're gonna kind of just blend it towards maybe like the middle, because we really just want it like right there where the apex area is. But again, this is what they look like after the first actual coat. You know, the first one was just the base, and this one was actually us building with the gel. So we're gonna go ahead and move on to the next one. So for this one, we're gonna do the same thing, except for we're not gonna be using as much gel, but we're gonna place it closer to the cuticle area. Of course, going from side to side as well. And again, we want most of the product to stay right here in this area. So instead of bringing the product all the way down like we did the first time, this time we're gonna just blend it by just brushing it once we get to like right there, to like the middle. We're gonna just brush the rest down. And that just gives us a nice apex. So again, we grab our bead, place it right closer to the cuticle area, go from side to side. And then once you get to like right here, we can start brushing down. And with this one, since I'm not using as much gel as I did the first time, I can go ahead and do all of the nails and then come back and cure them. But if you do see the gel starting to, you know, run to the cuticle area as you're doing the other ones, then you can go ahead and cure them. But I'm gonna try to work a little bit faster than the first time. That way we don't have that problem. Alrighty, I'm gonna go ahead and do the thumb as well, but sometimes people like to just cure those 4 fingers and then come back and do the thumb, but I'm gonna go ahead and just quickly do this thumb. Alrighty, so now we're gonna go ahead and cure all of these. As you can see, this one did start dripping over to the side, so I'm gonna go ahead and clean that up before we cure them. And again, this is why I should have went ahead and cured these 4 fingers before I did the thumb. So make sure that before you cure them, you check to make sure that no product is on the skin. Okay. So grab our small bead, place it closer to the cuticle area. Take it down to like the middle. And then just brush it down. And then I don't know if you guys can tell, but when you first brush it down, it looks kind of tacky. But like I said, gel is self-leveling. So after a few seconds, it will go on smooth. Alrighty, so again, we grab the small bead, place it closer to the cuticle area, go from side to side. And then once you get to like this point right here, you can start brushing it down. And then I'm sure here you can see how it looks pretty tacky. But again, after a few seconds, it'll go on pretty smooth. It's like it's gonna smooth out. So you can see there where the apex area, which is right there, is a bit thin. So that's why we have to go in and do this second bead. And of course, just like when we do acrylic nails, you want to still look at the nail from different angles. That way you can see where you need to apply more gel, because of course if our nail tips would have been like too thin, then we would have had to focus on applying more product closer to the tip instead of closer to the cuticle area. And then as you can see, these nails, again, after a few seconds, they become really nice and smooth. So we're gonna go ahead and cure these before we do the thumb, because I don't want the product to run over to the sides. So this one is done. So that's what they look like after we do it the second coat. As you can see, we have a nice apex right there. I'm gonna go ahead and go in with the gel cleaner, and I'm gonna use the little wipe. I'm just gonna go ahead and squirt a little bit on the wipe. And since this is gel, this gel actually leaves a sticky layer, as you can see. And it is completely dry, but it always leaves that sticky layer. So that's why we have to go in and just wipe that off. And then you could also use an alcohol wipe for this, but since we have the gel cleaner, we are gonna just use this. And this is the same thing when you use a top coat that's not a non-cleanse. You are gonna have to wipe away the inhibition layer. Okay, so all we have left to do on this hand is just doing the second bead. Alrighty, so we're done with the gel. So again, the one that I used was the Formagel in the color Candy Pink, and it just looks like this. And then the brush was the Mia Secret gel brush in a number 8. And then of course we also used the gel cleanser, the nail prep, as well as the nail primer, or it's called the Extra Bond. Alrighty, so same thing for this one. We're gonna go in with the wipe, and then we're just gonna wipe away the sticky layer from the nail. So once we're done with that, we can go ahead and go in and just reshape the nails. So I'm gonna go in with the same 100-100 nail file, and we're just gonna be reshaping the nails just the same way as we would usually reshape the acrylic. All of the other steps are gonna be the same. So same thing, filing the sides at a 45-degree angle and filing the free edge at a 90. Alrighty, so this is what they look like after we reshape the nails. So of course the next thing we want to do is we want to go in and just file them with the e-file. And as always, I'm going to be using a ceramic drill bit by McCart, and it is a fine one. So as always, you're going to start around that cuticle area from the right side over to the left side. And then we're also going to file the entire nail to make sure that it's all nice and smooth. But as always, we start first around that cuticle area. We want to make sure that we seal that gel really good, because we don't want any gaps between the natural nail and the gel, because if not, of course, we will get lifting. So we finished filing all of the nails. So now we're gonna go in with the buffer and we're just gonna make sure that they're all nice and smooth. Remember that when we're doing this is just getting rid of any of the scratches left on the nail from the e-file or the hand file. Alrighty, so we finished buffing the nails. So now I'm just gonna go in with an alcohol wipe and I'm just gonna wipe off the nails. Alrighty, so this is what the nails look like before we apply the top coat. Here's a side view, and then here's a view from the top and from the tips. Alrighty, so after that, we're just gonna go ahead and apply a top coat just because the color already looks good and the tutorial was more on the actual gel application, not the polish or anything. So we're just gonna leave them how they are. They look really similar to, or the color of the gel looks really similar to the Bubble Bath by OPI. So of course they already look good. So I'm gonna go in with the IBD gel top coat and then we're gonna cure them for 60 seconds. Alrighty y'all, so here is the final look. As you can see, they turned out really, really pretty. Again, these are the gel nails and we use the Formagel in the color Candy Pink by Mia's Secret. And even the color looks really good where you can just leave them like this and just do a gel top coat. And here's what they look like from the side. As you can see, we have a nice apex, not too thick, not too thin. And the color just looks really, really natural. So as always, I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on Instagram and Twitter at GetNail32. And I'll see you guys next time.